Hey everybody, just for those that don't know, I hiked out the end of the road here and I'm on the main cispus road that comes up from Randall. Just past mile marker 10, actually mile marker 11 is just down around the bend there. But this is the road that goes down to where I'm camped. It's about a half mile or so, pretty narrow, pretty short also. Places you have to duck. If you're worried about getting your vehicle scratched, it's probably not the best road for you. But pretty easy to find. Come out of the trees, and you can't see the river, but it's right over here, just the other side of this tree land. But yeah, you're coming along, and you can't miss this. It's the only turnoff for, I don't know, at least a quarter mile one direction. The road itself, I mean, it's not bad. I get down here in my Dakota without too much of an issue. A little dodging, a little branch on the roof action, but nothing scratching my rig too bad. Not a bad area. No permits required. It's free camping, you know. And all along the whole edge of this road, it's the old riverbed that's kind of overgrown now. Still actually see water down in there running. And cars every so often going by on the highway. At the camp, can't hear them too far away, but even out here it's kind of nice. Except for the cars going by, of course. I love it. It's a great spot. Randall, Washington. You follow the Cispus Road out to about 11 miles, and the turnoff's right on the edge of the road. And there's very few spots that you can actually drive to get down to the river anymore. And there used to be a couple spots up mile marker 12, but that whole probably 20 sites or so, the river took them out. So it's river to road up there, kind of sad. But you know, this time of year you get a lot of people coming out here with no place to go. And I've had a few visitors, surprisingly, mostly enduro bikes and a couple of campers. I know one of the campers, they went upstream from me about half mile and found a turnoff on the road, then hiked down to the river and camped. Which, they got a fire going now, that's how I know they're there. Pretty nice. Just not enough room for the population we have anymore. In the old days, we used to be able to drive down to the river. And believe it or not, we used to take the Jeep out in the middle of the river and go fishing. Just open the doors and fish right outside the Jeep. Nowadays, it's something that's not exactly popular with the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, for sure. They've blocked off just about every road going in that they don't control. There are campgrounds just above me, North Fork Campground, really great campground. There's Blue Creek for you guys that like your motorcycles and such. Blue Creek Trail is very popular. Always seeing bikes up and down in the backs of trucks. It's a good place. Those that don't know, we're just below Mount Adams. Cispus River runs down clear to Cosmopolis. Changes names a couple times. The Cowlitz, the Chehalis. All start up here. This is the river that feeds all the dams. Where I am, it's not very big. Too big to actually walk across. Too deep, take you off your feet. But great area. As you can see here, even if you're up on this road, which we're not very far down, maybe 100, 200 yards, and there's lots of room. And you used to be able to get out there in vehicles. I'm glad they closed that down. Not many people come up here backpacking. I know in the later parts of the summer, people will be headed up to Mount Adams, Tackalack Lake, Horseshoe Lake, And places like that, Keen's Horse Camp, or Keen's Horse Camp, I think it is, up there. Lots of riding area. I mean, whether you be ORV or you be on a horseback, plenty of things to do up in this area. Finding places to camp. Sooner you get your reservations in on the campgrounds, the better, because every year it's faster and faster. They fill up every day. Personally, I like to come out in midweek, then find places like this that are free, and you don't have to worry about paying. I just love looking at the trees. There's some big ones in here. Big dead ones, like right here we got a big dead fir. Still skying up there pretty good. But yeah, it's completely dead. Big one, that's too bad. It is marked, so I imagine they're gonna leave it for the birds. Fir trees are good for that. Over here next to it, we got one that's actually leaned over and laying on others, but living just fine. And out in here, I've seen a few cedars old enough to survive the last big fire out this way, which is kind of nice. The big fir trees are probably 4 foot across. The big maples, maybe 5, almost 6 foot across. But these cedars are a good 8 foot, 10 foot across. At least the ones that survived. Some of the stumps, a little smaller. Just on the one side. On the other side, it's all river floodplain. So we've got our alders popped up. The line of fir trees, because it's been a while since the water's actually flowed through here. This road actually has a rock barrier they built alongside it, which protected it pretty good until the river actually cut right through the end of it. All the berries are in bloom, which is nice to see. It's too bad they're not ripe. I'd like to be eating some blackberries right about now. And all the dead standing alder, great firewood. You can't get better. It burns fast, so you need to gather quite a bit of it, but you know, you grab a tree, you got a good fire for a while. Out here in the brush, it's prevalent Oregon grape, salal, ferns a little bit. You know, they pop up everywhere. And our common weeds. I don't remember the name of these buggers, but I got them at home. They grow quite well under my trees. Here's a big cedar right here. I really can't get a good view going up the tree, but it's good 6 to 8 feet crossed. Beauty. It's nice to see the big trees still around in this area. They do farm a lot of this forest, which is what this road was originally built for, was the logging. There's cables and stuff like that along the edge. If you're really looking, you'll see them. Obviously hasn't been used in a pretty good amount of time, because there's some real beauties of trees in here that you know they would have harvested. Good 50-year-old straight, make good telephone poles. And there's one that didn't survive a fire. Looks like a cedar. Stump's still standing pretty good though. I know right up in here, you can't see it because of all the debris. I'll see if I can get a good spot. There's 2 or 3 big firs in here. Let's see if I can get in on the cedar. And there's a big fir right behind it. Really hard to scale in video. I almost need like a Hot Wheel to go stick up against it, you know. Tell how big it is, how small it is. I just love being out here. I'd rather be outside than inside. Most people that know me know that. Weather is part of nature. And I usually try to prepare for all kinds of weather. This trip I got the truck, so I'm spoiled. I'm not limited to just my little backpack. Which, believe me, my little backpack would do me just fine out here in the winter time. Not too much of a worry. But like I said, it's a little ways back in here. I still can't see the camp or the truck down the road. I spend most of my time looking off the side, looking at the trees. There's a baby cedar there. Haven't seen too many of those. That's nice. Repropagating. Of course, all the berries have their pretty flowers. Oh, it's such a beautiful area. Yeah, I'm close enough and I can now hear the river again, because I'm, of course, camped right by the rapids, so it's loud. There's another tree that didn't survive the burn. There's one up here that did, and I'll try to get a picture of it. I don't think when Mount St. Helens blew, it really affected this area so much. I know it got a layer of ash. Yeah, it's been doing this a long time up in this area. There's a big cedar back there. Probably have a hard time seeing it. It's just past that fir. But I know it's a big one because I can see how tall it is myself. And right over here is one that survived the burn. I can actually look up there pretty good. It actually split into two after the burn. And you can see the burn damage over on one side here. Got into it pretty good, but both pieces of the tree seem to be doing just fine. And right over here, big old fir. That's a beauty too. That's a good 5 foot across. Not very tall, but you know, winter abuses trees. You never know on that one. Birds could be 1,000 years old and be 10 feet tall if they're in the wrong location. Some of the trees we ran across up in the Upper Olympics. Trees that were spread out across the ground, but ancient. If it wasn't for me yabbering, you'd be able to hear the river, the trees, and the birds that are pretty consistent out here. The hawks, the eagles, sparrows, robins. I think we got a robin right up in a tree right there. But this is what, Memorial Day weekend, so this is Sunday. It's been really quiet. Oh, I can see a monster fir tree back in here. See if I can get a better picture of it. Elk trails everywhere. I can see they just trampled all through here. But yeah, there's a fir tree. That's a good 6-7 foot across, easy. There's a couple of big ones in the area that I can see right now. There's a big one with a big branch coming off of it. Not close enough to see if it's alive or not. Oh, it's alive. I see leaves up to the top. That's a pretty big tree too. Oh, I love it. Love seeing the big trees. I mean, it's too bad we need the logging. It'd be nice to let the trees grow like the redwoods in California. But we don't do that. I mean, some areas, they don't harvest trees, like here close to the river. They just don't farm in here anymore. But back in the day, they cut everything down. Some wind-blown alders. And there's still water actually flowing down through there. Has been ever since I was, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago when I first started coming up here. And actually the river used to run through this area. when I was younger. Now it's actually detoured around straight across there. It's probably 300 yards to the water. Next year that could change. This could all be river. We know how the rivers work. Love all the ferns, baby maples. Ferns growing everywhere. There's a cedar that didn't survive the fire right there. Nice big stump. There's a beauty fir tree right next to it. That's a good 4 foot across right there. Straight. You know, all these right here, big trees, they're straight. But like I said, they don't farm down here anymore. Otherwise this would probably be on the ground, leveled out, and growing more vine maple than anything. Blueberries, no blooms on them yet. A little early in the season for blueberry, but gotta love being out here. And I'm down in a low flat. Very few of these low flats along the cispus, at least this size. This is probably the biggest one I know of on the upper cispus. Then it goes up in the upper valley and just goes into canyon, River Run Canyon, which is beautiful country. Beautiful country up in there. Rough, I mean, not really any spots to camp, but you can hike up top of rocks or get down to the river in some places. It's really nice. And no matter where you go, there's always a stinging nettle. Gotta watch those when you go poop. And yeah, we're actually down here to the camp now. It's not too far down this road. I've been walking the whole time, so get down here, you get close enough, you hear the rage of the river. And down here, there's enough room you could move my truck forward, put tents all along in here. If you're a hammock camper, there's trees all over the place. You can camp just about anywhere. Beautiful. That's why I enjoy coming up here, because I can have my truck with all my equipment, tools, anything I'd ever think about needing up here. And the rage of the river, constant. With this plane here, you can see across the river, it's pretty flat. And you can see the tree lines behind the bigger trees back there, behind the lowland alders and such. On the island up there, it's pretty nice. It's got some really big alders on it. Been out there a couple times. The river kind of splits, it goes around everything.